Welcome to CivilNet. My guest today via Skype is Aris Nalci. He is the director of İmece TV in Istanbul, Turkey. Aris, thank you for joining us.
Thank you too.
There has been a lot of events that have been taking place in Turkey and in the region these last several weeks and months. I want to start today to talk about the recent presidential elections that took place, what the outcome means, is there going to be any fundamental change in Turkey, and how the Armenian community dealt with the elections, how they voted. So why don't we start with that? There is a vibrant Armenian community living in Istanbul and also in the eastern parts of Turkey. How did the Armenians vote in this last presidential election?
If we look to the history of Turkish Republican elections, actually we can say that Armenians in Turkey are generally voting for the center parties. As we saw a couple of years for last 10 years, it was first AKP, because we were in Turkey, Armenians and minorities were seeing that AKP is trying to move forward in minority issues and some human rights issues. But after 2007, it changed a bit. How come it changed that? Because Armenians started to take part in social life more and in political life more. And so actually it's a little bit irony in here that because Armenians take part and take a bit more visibility in Turkish political parties, left parties, as well as CHP and HDP and BDP, also the Kurdish party. But the thing is, how much they're visible in this political side, left side, I think they're still voting for the center, most of them. We can analyze this in a couple of points, because Armenians are always, maybe as a minority, they're frightened to make change in the stability of the country. They are frightened to get visible. But in this last election, presidential election, I can say that if Armenian voters are mostly voted, maybe mostly 40%, 45% voted for the Demirtas, the Kurdish candidate. As we see in his votes, there was a rise in his votes, because Kurdish party took 6% in the general elections, local elections, sorry, in Turkey this year. But the head of Kurdish party, and now he's the head of HDP, Selahattin Demirtas, took 9.8% in the presidential election. Actually, for Kurds, this was a little bit a survey to see that how much they're going to take votes next election and how much Demirtas is quoted in the Turkish society. Because there are still so many people in Turkey who are not going to vote for Demirtas because he's Kurdish, and who doesn't want any candidates or president who is not Turkish. We see this in the before election on the campaigns, because always during the elections in Turkey for the last 10 years, ethnicity is one of the issues that candidates are using against each other. Like they're calling the other Armenian, or even they called Abdullah Gül a couple of years before Armenian, which is...
That's going to lead into my next question. You know, when you look at the map of Turkey and you see the election results, three very distinct regional ways that the votes went. The Kurds, CHP and AKP. I want to talk a little bit about Erdogan, if we may. He was the incumbent prime minister, changes in electoral legislation. Now, for the first time ever, Turkish citizens are voting directly for their president. So he was the prime minister running the show. Now he is the newly elected president running the show. A president that has a lot of divisions in the country, and then saying that to be an Armenian was insulting. How was this played out in the Turkish media?
So it was first night in social media in Turkey. It had a big comments on Twitter, on Facebook, on social media. Big comments. I also write about it that still this prime minister is still playing on ethnicity and wants to get votes from Armenians or minorities. No, Erdogan doesn't want to get votes from minorities, because minorities are 1%, 2% in Turkey, and let's say Kurds, but it's Kurds also. If we put it, these votes are not really so much important for the president.
He was speaking to his constituency then when he said that it was an insult to be called Armenian, because that's what his constituency wants to hear.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. I think Erdogan and people like Erdogan know that playing on against minorities, playing on being against Christian or Jew, is getting votes from nationalist Turkish people. I had this is a general Turkish idea when I was the responsible redactor in chief of Agos. It was 7 years before, I think, that we after Hrant's murder, we were trying to get some advertisements from general public in Turkey, and from very well-known Turkish company. They offered us to don't publish the advertisement what they wanted to give, just to give the money of the advertisement, because they said that they have so many nationalist clients, and giving an advertisement to an Armenian journal and being seen with an Armenian is not going to be a good publicity for them. So this is the general behavior of Turkish public still, and I think general behavior. I'm saying because who is voting for Erdogan, 51%, 52%, let's say, looks to Armenians, Christians, Jews like this. As if you see in Erdogan's last 10 years performance, when critical times, he's always playing against Jews, like one minute stuff. He did, and also playing against being Armenian. But after that, after he's elected, after he passed that critical stuff, he's always playing the nice guy. Like after he passed, he say this, and after the elections, the first speech that he did, it's the first time that he mentioned about Armenians and Greeks and Jews without creating a hate speech. He was saying, before Armenians, before being Armenian, before being Jew, before being Greek, or before being Georgian, people in this country who lives are Turkish citizens. He used this sentence after the election, that the speech to the balcony. So this means for me that, okay, everything was lies, and do we have to get used to that before every elections in Turkish country, in Turkey, we are going to hear hate speech from the candidates, some of the candidates, and which we have to close our ears and not see it. And after the elections, everything is going to be okay. No, that's not true.
I understand what you're saying, because it always does seem to coincide with critical moments or elections. I want to switch gears, if we may, Aris, and just talk, if we may, quickly about U.S.-Turkey relations, the strained relation between President Barack Obama and Prime Minister, now President Erdogan, how he refused to speak to Obama and said that they were speaking on the level of their foreign ministers because of America's, not resistance necessarily, but trepidation in sending aircraft or bombing Syria to support the rebels there. Post-election, has the U.S. administration congratulated Erdogan on his victory at the polls?
Yeah. We had sources, and we heard some news and agencies were saying that they congratulated Erdogan, but that they're still coming the congratulations stuff, because he's officially elected, but he's not officially taking. He didn't took the chair yet. So I think this all official letters are going to declared after he took the chair officially in a couple of days. But the thing is, between the relation between U.S. and Turkey is, I think Erdogan is quite playing strategic by saying by being against of these bombings in Syria, because also we know from many sources that the aircrafts also bombed ISID, Iraqi Sham Islamic Republican armies, which was needed. So actually, it's a bit quite hard to understand Erdogan's and Turkey's behavior in this, because Turkey also wants to get the end with this Islamic Republic issue, but I think Turkey wants to have more power on this. First, we have to understand that for many years, I'm saying 10 years, 20 years, that Turkey is playing on the Shi'i public in Iraqi and Iraqi in Syria. So actually, when Davutoglu was saying yesterday that if international network, he means the countries, didn't push Sunni people in Iraq and Iraqi and Syria this much, ISID was not going, the Islamic Republic was not going to exist, he said. So this means that he's a kind of supporting this by saying that it's a consequence of the push that the international network did. So this is quite not good. But we also know that Davutoglu is not a good Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We had so much problems. Turkey had so much problems with him. But also his name is on the list of future prime ministers in Turkey. They're talking about it, which AKP is going to make a meeting, urgent meeting for this. And we know also that in AKP there are so many MPs who doesn't want Abdullah Gül to become the president of the AKP, of the party, the head of the party, and also the prime minister. So again, back to U.S.-Turkey issues. Turkey is playing quite strategic. I'm just saying this. I saw this with Israel too. Turkey first played the good guy about Palestinians, but he didn't cut his business relations. So this means something to me, that money works in Turkey. Economy, if you are with economic relation with Turkey, Turkey is going to play the good guy in international politics and play the bad guy in the inner politics, domestic politics.
Just returning back to Turkey as a final question. Following the elections, I was following the Twitter feed, and I know that Turks are very, very active on Twitter, even with all the bans that Erdogan had imposed on the country. Amberin Zaman, who Erdogan insulted actually during a campaign, calling her a shameless woman, had tweeted that there will be an Armenian in the cabinet. Did you hear such talk, or was that perhaps stepping ahead of the game, perhaps on some people's part?
First, to have an Armenian in the cabinet, it means it's the next elections in 2015. AKP is still talking about this, not about Armenians. AKP is still, there's a fight going on into AKP that who is going to be what. In every elections, before every elections, people starts to talk about there's going to be an Armenian in the cabinet, there's going to be a Greek in the cabinet, but in practically, I just saw one Christian in Turkish cabinet, Turkey cabinet. It's a Assyrian, Erol Dora, who is elected from the Kurdish party, not from AKP. Every election we see this play again. And Amberin, maybe she's right, but it's so soon, early to talk about this, because if AKP is going to show an Armenian to the cabinet, I didn't even see this is coming for last 10 years. Yeah, AKP is always has good relations with some Armenians, but I'm pretty sure if they're going to choose an Armenian for the cabinet, I think we have to look to the last 90 years of Turkish Republic, how they played with minorities by putting cabinet. We have to look for that, because it's not a clear history with Armenians in the Turkish cabinet. They were always elected from the side that Armenians who are not supporting Armenian issue, who are more proud to be Turk than Armenian.
Right.
So last Armenian was in 1957 until 60 in Turkey. So if AKP is deciding to have an Armenian in the cabinet, there are so many questions to be replied.
Right. Well, Aris Nalci, thank you very much for helping us to try and understand the recent developments in Turkey. We'll be speaking to you again soon. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us today.
Thank you too.
I'd like to remind our viewers that my guest via Skype was Aris Nalci, the director of İmece TV in Istanbul, Turkey. Stay with CivilNet.